Lagos. The city that never sleeps. The city where the rich drive past in their jeeps and the poor walk barefoot on the hot tarred roads. The city where dreams are born and dreams are crushed. It was a very hot afternoon. The sun was burning the streets, and the noise of buses and shouting conductors filled the air. The smell of roasted corn, dust, and sweat mixed everywhere. And there, in the middle of the busy road, was a boy. A boy with no shoes, no bag, and no food in his stomach. His name was Chaik. He was only 14 years old, but life had already beaten him down like an old man. His shirt had holes, his shorts were torn at the edges, and his body was thin like a broomstick. He had not eaten since yesterday, and his stomach made loud noises that even he could hear. Chaik's parents had died when he was very young. Nobody cared for him. His uncle chased him out of the house because he said the boy was a burden. Chaik had been living on the streets for 2 years now. Sometimes he slept under a bridge, sometimes in a mechanic workshop, sometimes on the bare ground at the market. That day, he was walking slowly, too weak to even beg. He whispered to himself, "God, please, just one plate of food. Please let somebody help me today." He looked around. Cars were stopping in traffic. Some children his age were carrying pure water on their heads, shouting pure water, 10 naira. Some other boys were running after cars, cleaning windscreens for small change. But Chaik had nothing to sell. He had no strength to clean windscreens. All he could do was stretch his hand and beg. Then, he saw it. A big black Jeep, shining like it had just been washed. The glass was tinted, but the driver rolled it down to buy something from a hawker. Inside the Jeep sat a man in a white flowing agbada. His gold wristwatch sparkled in the sun, and his fat fingers carried 2 heavy rings. His face was round, his skin fresh, and the air conditioner was blowing cold breeze inside the car while people outside were sweating like goats. This man was Chief Okon, a well-known businessman in Lagos. He owned hotels, companies, and big houses. People feared him because of his money and power. Chaik's weak legs carried him to the side of the Jeep. He bent down and spoke with all the courage he could find. "Sir, please. I have not eaten since yesterday. Please help me. Even if it is 50 naira, please, I beg you." Chief Okon turned his head slowly, looked at the boy from head to toe, and burst out laughing. "Iwu. Look at this dirty thing. See how you are smelling like gutter water. You want me to give you money? For what? To waste it on nonsense." Chaik's eyes filled with tears. He tried again. "Please, sir. I just want to eat. I don't want to die." But Chief Okon's laugh grew louder. He pulled out a crisp 50 Nigerian nairas note, waved it in front of Chaik's face, and then threw it on the dirty ground. "Take. That is what your life is worth. 50 Nigerian nairas. You will never become anything in this world. People like you are born to suffer and die on the street. Get out of my sight before I call police for you." People nearby laughed. Some hawkers even mocked the boy. Chaik bent down slowly, picked the 50 Nigerian nairas note, and held it in his hand. His tears dropped on the money. He wanted to say something back, but his mouth was dry. The Jeep's engine roared, and Chief Okon's car sped away, leaving only dust behind. The crowd dispersed, but Chaik stood there, looking at the money in his hand. He whispered to himself, "One day, I will prove you wrong. One day, you will remember this face." That night, Chaik did not sleep. He lay under the bridge at Ojalegba, holding the 50 Nigerian nairas note in his hand like it was a treasure. His mind kept replaying Chief Okon's laughter, those wicked words, "You will never become anything in this world." He clenched his fist and said softly to himself, "I may be poor today, but one day, I will rise. One day, I will sit in a car like that. One day, I will never beg again." The hunger in his stomach was strong, but the hunger in his heart was stronger. The hunger to prove the world wrong. And that was the day everything began. The night was cold under the bridge. Cars and trailers moved above, shaking the ground where Chaik lay. He hugged his thin body and pulled a dirty nylon bag over his head as cover. He could not sleep. The sound of horns, the shouting of bus conductors, and the smell of urine filled the air. Beside him, Other homeless boys were sleeping, some snoring, some coughing. But Chike's eyes remained open. He was thinking of Chief Okon's words again. 50 naira. That is what your life is worth. Those words entered his heart like a sharp knife. By morning, his stomach was crying louder than his thoughts. He stood up, rubbed his eyes, and walked out from under the bridge. Lagos was already awake, women frying akara, children selling sachet water, and buses honking everywhere. Chike held the 50 Nigerian nairas note tightly. He walked to a mama put joint and begged for food. The woman looked at him from head to toe, then collected 30 Nigerian nairas and gave him a small plate of rice with red oil stew. Chike rushed the food like a lion. It was the first time he had eaten in 2 days. But after eating, he sat on the wooden bench and thought, what about tomorrow? What about next week? He knew 20 Nigerian nairas could not keep him alive. He needed to find work. Chike spent the next days walking around Lagos. He went from shop to shop, from mechanic workshop to vulcanizer, asking if they needed a boy to help. But everywhere he went, people laughed at him. You are too small. You will steal our money. Go and find your parents. But he had no parents. He had nobody. After many rejections, he finally found one booker, a roadside food joint run by a fat woman called Mama Esther. She was shouting at her workers when Chike walked up. Good afternoon, Ma. Please, can I help you wash plates? I will work hard, Ma. Mama Esther turned, looked at his thin body, and hissed. If you break my plates, who will pay? Get out from here. Chike fell on his knees. Please, Ma. I will not break them. I just want food. Please allow me to work for you. I can sweep, I can wash, anything. Something in his begging voice touched her. She waved her hand. Okay, wash those plates quickly before my customers come. That was how Chike started his first job. Every day, he washed plates, carried water, and swept the place. Mama Esther gave him one plate of food in the afternoon, and sometimes another in the night. That was his pay. Days turned into weeks. Chike worked from morning till night. His hands were always in soapy water. His back always bent from sweeping. Sometimes customers insulted him. Dirty boy, wash that plate well. Don't touch my spoon, you stink. But Chike swallowed his pride. He told himself, this is better than hunger. At night, he still slept under the bridge. Sometimes it rained, and water soaked his clothes. Sometimes area boys came to harass them. But Chike refused to give up. Every day, after work, he saved small money from tips. Some kind customers gave him 20 Nigerian nairas, 50 Nigerian nairas, or even 100 Nigerian nairas if he washed their hands with water. He kept the money inside a tin can, hidden under a stone by the bridge. One evening, as he counted his small savings, one of the older homeless boys laughed at him. Chike, why are you keeping that money? You think you can become rich? Boys like us will die here on the street. But Chike shook his head. No. I will not die here. I will use this money for school one day. I will learn. I will change my life. The other boys laughed louder. School? Ha ha ha. Look at him. Who will allow you inside classroom with your torn clothes? Dreamer. But Chike did not argue. He only smiled quietly. Deep inside, he knew his dreams were bigger than their laughter. One Sunday afternoon, Chike was walking near Yaba Market. He saw an old man selling second-hand books under a big umbrella. People passed without looking at him. The books were dusty and old. Chike stopped and stared. He loved books. Long ago, before his parents died, he had attended primary school. He could read small. The old man noticed him. Young boy, do you want to buy a book? Chike shook his head. I don't have money, sir. But, can I look? The man smiled. Come, sit. Read anything you like. Knowledge is free for those who are hungry for it. Chike sat down and picked one book. It was about business. He read slowly, moving his lips as he sounded the words. The old man watched him carefully. From that day, whenever Chike had small free time, he visited the old man. The man's name was Mr. Bello. He was once a teacher before life pushed him to the streets. He saw something different in Chaik, a kind of fire in his eyes. "Chaik," he said one day, "never stop reading. Education is the only weapon the poor can use to fight the rich. One day, these books will open doors for you." Those words entered Chaik's heart. He promised himself he would never stop learning. Life was still hard. There were days Mama Esther was angry and refused to give him food. There were nights he cried himself to sleep because of cold. Sometimes area boys stole his little savings. Sometimes police chased him and other homeless boys away from the bridge. But each time he felt like giving up, he remembered Chief Okon's words. "You will never amount to anything." That insult became his fuel. That shame became his strength. Chaik worked harder. He saved every kobo. He read every free book he could find. He dreamed of the day he would wear a suit and tie, sit in an office, and nobody would call him a dirty boy again. And so, even though Lagos was unkind, Chaik survived. He survived the hunger, the insults, the rain, the rejection. He survived because he carried a dream in his chest, a dream bigger than the street, bigger than his pain. And slowly, life began to open a small door for him. Lagos is a city that can swallow you, but sometimes, it also gives you a little light in the darkness. For Chaik, that light came in small, unexpected ways. It was another Sunday afternoon. The sun was hot, but the market at Yaba was still busy. Chaik had just finished washing plates for Mama Esther in the morning. He carried his small tin can of savings, hidden carefully in his pocket, and went straight to Mr. Bellow's bookstand. The old man was already there, arranging his dusty books under the umbrella. His grey hair shone in the sun, and his old glasses kept sliding down his nose. "Chaik, my boy," he said warmly as he saw him. "I was waiting for you." Chaik smiled shyly and sat down. He picked another book. This one was titled How to Build a Business. He opened the first page and began to read slowly. His lips moved with each word, and his finger followed the lines. Mr. Bellow watched him for a while, then said, "Chaik, do you know why I like you?" The boy looked up. "Why, sir?" "Because even though life has beaten you, your eyes are still full of fire. You are hungry, not only for food but for knowledge. That is the kind of hunger that can change a man's destiny." Chaik's eyes watered. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that. Nobody had ever believed in him. "But sir," he whispered, "how will I ever become something? Look at me. I don't even have slippers on my feet." Mr. Bellow leaned closer. "Listen to me. Everything you need to rise is already inside you. Poverty is just the beginning of your story, not the end. If you keep learning, if you keep working, one day people will respect you. Mark my words." Those words became a seed planted in Chaik's heart. One evening at Mama Esther's buka, something happened. A young man in a neat shirt and trousers entered to buy food. He was carrying a bag filled with exercise books. Chaik served him water to wash his hands. As the man ate, Chaik stood nearby, looking at the bag of books with curious eyes. The man noticed. "Do you like books?" he asked. Chaik nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. I like reading, but I don't have money to buy books." The man smiled. "I am a teacher. If you are serious, I can allow you to sit at the back of my evening class sometimes. You will not pay anything, but you must promise to be serious." Chaik's heart jumped. "Thank you, sir. I promise, I will be serious." The man gave him the address of the small community school where he taught in the evenings. That night, Chaik could not sleep. He kept repeating to himself, "I will go to class. I will learn. I will not waste this chance." The next day, after working at Mama Esther's buka, Chaik ran to the address the teacher had given him. It was a small hall in the community center. Children sat on benches, some with exercise books, some without. When Chaik entered, some of the children laughed. "See this dirty boy. Is he here to beg?" But the teacher raised his hand. "No, leave him. He is here to learn." Chaik sat quietly at the back, his eyes wide open. He listened carefully to every word, every explanation. His handwriting was rough, but his mind was sharp. Even when he had no notebook, he borrowed chalk to write on the floor and practice. The teacher noticed his effort. After class, he gave Chaik an old exercise book and a pencil. "Here, use this. Don't stop writing." For the first time in years, Chaik felt like a real student again. Life became even harder. Chaik worked all day at Mama Esther's buka, then ran to evening classes. He returned to the bridge at night, tired and hungry, but his heart was full of hope. Some of the other street boys mocked him. "You are wasting your time. School will not put food in your mouth. You better hustle and join us to steal phone in the market." But Chaik refused. "I will not steal. I will not spoil my future. I will go to school, even if it is hard." He kept pushing. One afternoon, Chaik visited Mr. Bello again. He told him about the teacher and the evening classes. The old man's eyes shone. "This is good news, Chaik. You see, God has started opening doors for you. You must never give up now. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sir," Chaik said. Mr. Bello reached into his bag and brought out a small dictionary. It was old, the cover was torn, but the pages were still intact. He placed it in Chaik's hands. "This dictionary will help you. Anytime you don't understand a word, check here. This book will become your friend." Chaik held the dictionary as if it was gold. "Thank you, sir. I will never forget this." As weeks turned into months, Chaik's reading improved. He began to dream of bigger things. Sometimes, when he passed by tall office buildings in Lagos Island, he would stop and look up. He imagined himself inside, wearing a fine suit, carrying a briefcase, walking confidently like the businessman he saw. One day, as he stood staring at a skyscraper, another boy selling groundnuts laughed at him. "Why are you looking at that building? You think you will ever enter inside? People like us don't belong there." But Chaik smiled quietly and whispered to himself, "One day, I will not only enter. I will own a building like this." Everything Chaik went through, the hunger, the insults, the cold nights, only made him stronger. He worked harder at the buka. He studied harder at night. He asked Mr. Bello questions about life and business. Slowly, he began to believe in himself. Slowly, the fire in his heart grew. And even though the world still looked down on him, he knew deep inside, my story will not end like this. One day, my life will change. And so, the poor hungry boy of Lagos began to see the first light of hope in his long journey.